तुमको पाया है कि जैसे खोया हूँ, कहना चाहूँ भी तो तुमसे क्या कहूँ, किसी ज़बान भी वो लफ्ज़ ही नहीं कि जिनमें तुम हो क्या तुम्हें बता सकूँ। मैं अगर कहूँ तुम साहसी, कायनात में नहीं है कहीं, तारीफ ये भी तो सच है कुछ भी नहीं, तुमको पाया है कि जैसे खोया हूँ। Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am still here, and today we're going to be doing ninth lord in the third house. And what happens when the planet that controls your ninth house in the third house is sitting in the third house? And obviously, if you do not know where your ninth lord is placed and where your other lord through houses are, so you can figure this new series out that I'm covering. For that, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects at the Speed of Light. And yes, I am about to leave today, actually, for Michael Jordan. This is just the biggest event of my life. But before I left, I just wanted to quickly film, and then by tonight I will, publish it, or my assistant will publish the video for me. So this way you guys get to, keep seeing things. And then the next video that I will film will probably from Vegas, and I don't know if I'm able to have him in the video. I will try my best to get MJ in the video with me, but he probably has 1,000 requests to be on a video, so I don't know if that's a good idea to do that in front of him. But anyway, so ninth lord in the third house. And what happens when the planet that controls your ninth house is sitting in the third house? Well, what is ninth house? Ninth house is higher belief, your philosophical beliefs. It represents your gurus, post-grad education, traveling for education, traveling to foreign lands to different experience, different culture, different ethnic groups, different type of people. It represents how fortunate you feel. It represents your luck, your dharma in life, what your higher self is like, because ninth house also relates to spiritual dharma. Don't think that a dharma is always means something you should be doing for a living, because unless dharma is not involved, the ninth house is not involved in your earnings, then the dharma does not become your karma. Karma is work. So that's something people have been confused about in the past 3 videos. So just wanted to cover that. And what is the and ninth house represents the law, writing the law and following the law. It's the law of the land. And what is the third house? Third house represents information. It represents media, journalism, your skills, your hobbies. It represents gathering information. It's a very informative house, house of intelligence, house of self-efforts, how much effort you put into things. And it's a house of siblings, your communication with the siblings and neighbors. It represents short distance travel, like from city to city or, state to state. So what happens when this planet is sitting in the third house? Let's discuss that. Well, ninth lord in the third house shows that you like to talk about and you like to write about different cultures. Your keen interest in writing really is affected by your philosophical views, your religious views, and you traveling to other places. These people make brilliant writers. Why? Because ninth house is a house of publishing. Third house is a house of process of writing, because until you write something, you can't publish it. So now ninth house is coming to you. It says, I'm providing you the information so you can write and publish your work. These people should always write, especially with Mercury and Jupiter in this house. You can gain great deal of fame, dharma, and your keen sense of peace once you write. Whether it's writing blogs, writing books, writing novels, writing manual. Communication becomes a very important part of your spiritual, your spiritual life. Because remember, ninth house represents your dharma, your spiritual dharma. Your spiritual dharma is always there when you write things. And if 10th house or the second house is involved with this ninth house, that shows your earning will come from writing. Any kind of writing, journalism, going out to the other side of the world and talking about things in your own community. This is why third house represents your own community. Shows you feel very lucky through your siblings. Your siblings enhance your philosophical views. or your siblings are quite intelligent and they all have their post-grad education, and you yourself are intelligent as well. And especially because of the fact third house represents communication, ninth house represents, foreign and distant land, shows your ability to communicate vastly it naturally comes to you. You can go to different places and you would love to learn different languages. You would love, especially with Mercury, and if Rahu, Mercury are involved, I've seen people who know 5 different languages and they have no problem learning the 6th language. And this house shows that you put a lot of effort into wanting to travel to places. You put effort into, wanting to experience different culture and different things. Now, obviously, if your third lord is placed somewhere else, that may differ this thing. That may show that, okay, this, the efforts are being put somewhere else more than the 9th house. But if, let's say, third lord is also placed in the 9th or third house, these people can become world travelers. Because it's all about movement, the third house. Okay? But mainly it relates to, your communication, your ability to write, your hobbies and skills. Your hobbies and skills are all to do with spiritual things, philosophical things. And usually writing is strongly seen from this more than anything else. Shows that, your post-grad education, like MBA, PhD, really served your communicative ability. Your ability to communicate with other people really came from attaining higher knowledge. And these people make great preachers, great businessmen, because of the fact their communication skills are very philosophical and very, spiritual. Like, you want to do business with this person because they have the ability to talk to you in a very calm and a very polite demeanor. So it's a great house. Now, depending upon what planet is sitting, controlling the 9th house and sitting in the third house may differentiate some of these things. So let's discuss that. So let's say if Sun controls your 9th house and goes into the third house, shows that your father, was quite a traveler. He traveled a lot in his life, and due to that, perhaps your relationship is not bad, but it's just that you feel kind of distant from him. You feel like, well, he traveled so much, I feel kind of like empty whenever it comes to gaining something from the father in terms of education. However, the relationship may feel distant, but still, father instilled at the same time instilled a lot of scientific value in you. He showed you that always look at the world with a scientific view. Always, talk about how to bring how to bring communities together, how to bring societies together. And through technology, you can actually improve society. So these are the people, who are very keen towards higher education, very keen towards higher technical education, so they can improve the world. Their personality is all about communicating about the, mechanical, technical, and scientific side of life. Let's say if Moon controls your 9th house, goes into the third house, well, what this shows is that you're not really keen towards philosophical and, this spiritual mumbo jumbo, especially growing up. You're more towards extrapolating the reality of things and working with that in the third house. You want to communicate strictly about business. You want to communicate strictly about things that are real to you. You want to communicate about the law. You want to communicate about rules and regulation. You're not too keen about, following a philosophical or spiritual path. But you have instilled through your mother a lot of religious values. Like, these people can become hardcore communicator of religion. They can become hardcore communicator about, the government, what's happening in the government. Their mind may not be so emotional. Their mind was developed through their siblings who were quite hardcore themselves. And because of this, your mind kind of always was hanging around with your siblings, and it was like, well, I guess I got to be tough. I guess I got to have no emotions. So these people can make great athletes. These people can make, great fighters, because the emotional side of them is kind of subdued. And they're all about working with their hands, their action, because that's what third house is. Third house represents your hands. And when the mind is very tough and keen, you can make a great fighter, great journalist, and at the same time, kind of relationship with the mother was very much to the T. Like it was your mother, you may have had a decent relationship with her, but still the mother was very much, following the law and abiding every rule and wanted you to abide by the rules of things. Let's say if Mercury controls your 9th house is sitting in the 3rd house. Well, when this happens, the person will definitely go into writing and communication in journalism. These kind of people love communicating and they love to write because, again, 3rd house is hands, Mercury is hands. These kind of people actually should go into writing. No matter what they're doing, they should write. Whether it's journal, blog, book, whatever it is, even an article in a magazine. Because that increases their intellectual stamina. That increases their logical and analytical thinking anytime they're right. When they're right, they learn. And so these kind of people make great salesmen, great marketers, because they know how to attract a crowd by a higher philosophical belief. Like some of the best commercials that you see kind of touches your heart spiritually. And these kind of people are able to do that through their communication. They're able to touch people's heart with their speech and communication, and these are the people who can learn many languages and use that for their advantage to gain things, to become a great businessman. And through their efforts of language and writing and speech, they gain a lot in life. It shows that siblings were absolutely intelligent. Your siblings must have been lawyers, your sibling must have been, teachers, and these kind of people also make great spiritual artists. If they go into acting, if they go into sculpting, they may sculpt religious figures, spiritual figures. Their message in the painting will always be, related to spirituality. Same thing with Venus. Venus is art. Venus is culture. When the 9th Lord is ruled by Venus and Venus goes into the 3rd house, shows one wants to express themselves artistically with a spiritual and religious belief in behind. They want to, be around people who have artistic talent. They make great painters. They make great sculptors because Venus is always about art. They want to communicate and write about traveling. These people are the ones who can actually make a living through traveling. Especially, if Venus has its sign of Taurus in the 9th house, they should be traveling and writing about it. They should become, going into journalism regarding travel, like Travel Channel. You see Andrew Zamazian, you see Anthony Bourdain in US. These guys are these placements. They have this immense amount of love for experiencing different cultures. Shows that in marriage, the spouse must be able to communicate about philosophical views and higher, spiritual beliefs. And you will meet your spouse either through your siblings or through your neighbors in your local community. But at the same time, the spouse will bring a lot of 9th house things to you. And that's what you want in a spouse. A lot of communication regarding spirituality and philosophy. Let's say if Mars controls your 9th house, goes into the 3rd house, shows this person was born to be an athlete, was born to be a fighter, because that's what Mars is, fighter, athlete, soldier. These kind of people make great engineers. They gain education of engineering. They gain education of working with sharp objects, whether it's a doctor or whether it's an acupuncturist or whether it's, a blacksmith. And these guys have tremendous amount of willpower and stamina. So these kind of people, though, can also turn into a way where they will try to dominate their local community because they feel that their higher belief is that they are gods. So these people can also make criminals. These people can also make bullies. That's kind of a negative thing with Mars. If Mars is not taught right, he will use his hands to instill his own beliefs in you. Meaning, he will put his fist on your face. So this can go either or. Either they can make great athletes, great fighters, and they make great investigative journalists, or great engineers. Or on the bad side, they can have a wrong philosophy and they can be dominating their siblings, their people around them in the local community as the bully. Let's say if Jupiter controls your ninth house, goes into the third house, shows that this person can definitely become a teacher, can definitely become a guru who instills a lot of value through writing, through speeches. Here, Jupiter being the ninth house lord in the third house shows you want to communicate about, religion and spirituality. So a pastor is seen from this, because Jupiter, every planet is looking at its own sign, meaning it's providing protection to its own sign and it's influencing its own house. So this is why you will be a preacher at a local community. You will be this guru type person for your siblings, or your siblings had a lot of intellectual communication between them. But a great placement for somebody who can either be going to finance, somebody who can be a really great businessman, because they just know how to intellectually, intelligently, get what they want in life, because Jupiter is your true intelligence, is a true divine intelligence. So you suddenly have intelligence regarding the money, you have intelligence regarding communication, marketing, sales. Like, these are the people who, when you go buy a car, they will go into some philosophical tangent and suddenly you're buying a car. They have that kind of intelligence. Let's say if Saturn controls your ninth house, goes into the third house. What this shows is that your communication with the siblings was very distant. You may not have had the best of communication growing up with your siblings and neighbors. Shows that there's a lot of distance and a lot of friction with siblings. Philosophical views would not develop till later on in age, because now Saturn is, although looking at its own house, it's still a very slow moving planet. So Saturn guarantees that you will have a higher dharmic life, higher good philosophical religious views. But growing up, it's just that you felt that you could not communicate. Perhaps you started talking very late in life. Communication and intelligence developed very slowly. Yet at the same time, these people can make great novelists, because a novel writing process is a very long drawn process. So with Saturn looking at its own house shows that you're able to write about the law. You're able to write about social welfare. How to take care of other people, you may be writing about that. Because Saturn is all about non-profit organization, all about, social welfare. So these people like to communicate and like to write about that. But, never take these placements as is, because you do not know what conjunction, aspects, nakshatra this planet is setting in. That can still mold it a little bit, which we'll cover later on. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of ninth lord in the third house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your ninth lord is placed and other placements are, you want to check out my full astrological report here and my books there. Otherwise, we'll see you from Vegas. Bye-bye.